bring Keith Smith in. And, of course, Keith Smith, you can follow him at Keith Smith NBA. Spotrac is where you can find his new stuff. It's an excellent website, and he can explain a little bit more of what he's doing over there because he just got that gig. He's starting that now, and he joins us, as always, on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. What's going on, Keith? Congratulations on the new gig.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And for those of you out there, that's a great spot to go find contractual information, all the numbers, behind-the-scenes stuff on the NBA. So we love going to that site. We've been talking a lot about that kind of stuff leading into you. And let's start with these NBA playoffs. And, hey, it's an off day here in Philly as they get ready to take on the Hawks. But kind of give us some insight on what you've seen. It's been a tale of two games, really. That first one, the Hawks kind of showed some weaknesses in the Sixers. They made some adjustments. But if you're Atlanta heading back, how are you feeling about where you are 1-1 in this series?
Yeah, if you're the Hawks, you're feeling pretty good. You did what your goal is always when you're the lower seeded team, which is to get one of those first two and steal home court advantage, and they pulled that off. Now, they've got questions for themselves that they need to answer because Joel Embiid, I thought in game one, he looked good, but I thought at times looked almost a little tentative, which is not, a real criticism or anything like that because I think he was trying to make sure his knee felt good and he was going to make it through. But then in game two, he looked anything but and absolutely dominated them, did, everything he wanted to do. But also Philly, they didn't mess around. They went right to Ben Simmons on Trae Young. Matisse Thybulle got the rest of the minutes on him, and that or almost all the rest of the minutes, and that made it really, really tough on Young to get going and find the footing found in game one. So I think Philly's right back into pretty good shape. I think this is going to be a competitive series, but I still feel pretty good about the 76ers based on how good Embiid has looked.
All right, so based on some of the adjustments there, is Philly in a spot now where, okay, Atlanta's going to make the adjustments? What does Atlanta do when they go back home to kind of counter what the Sixers did with Ben Simmons on Trae Young?
Yeah, I think you're going to see them do more screening for Trae Young. They're probably going to work more guys up to the level of the ball and try and really get him freed up from those guys. So you'll see, my guess is over the last couple days here, what they have been working through is putting in screening plays, even with some guys who maybe aren't generally used to doing a lot of screening. So guys like Bogdan Bogdanovic, Solomon Hill, Danilo Gallinari, those guys off the bench. So that way you're freeing up Young, getting him into a much more advantageous situation with a better matchup. And then maybe you're also creating a mismatch on the back end of that switch as well.
Joel Embiid, I thought it was interesting in the TNT the other night. Charles Barkley said, essentially, Embiid doesn't matter in this series. He scored 39 and they lost. Well, he scored 40 the next night and they won. Does Joel Embiid matter? What's his impact in this series?
Yeah, I mean, he matters because if he's not doing that, they're going to get killed. And it's not that he has to score 40, but, as long as he's, being productive, then that matters. But it is a lot about the other guys. It's kind of always been that story with Philadelphia where you start to, look at it and say, boy, if we can get something out of these other guys, we feel really good because you kind of know Embiid's going to get you 30-ish points, somewhere in that range. He's going to get the rebounds. You need the other guys to deliver and support him in order to win. And that's what they were able to get going in game two. And that's really what they had going all year long, which is why they were a better team than they've been the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and obviously the first game, Atlanta made 23s. And one of the things I said, Keith, was they needed every bit of those 23s. And the other night, they shot it right around their average. They didn't shoot awful, but they shot around what their average is. I think it was like 37%. And it's, to me, the Sixers are a better team. For the Hawks to beat them, they need to be better than their average. So if the Sixers can keep them around their average, is this, you got us in game one, we win the next four, or do you think this one's going for the long haul?
Yeah, I don't know that it'll be the next four. It certainly could be. That wouldn't be a complete shock. But I think it's more along the lines of what you said is, Atlanta has to play. They don't have to play out of their minds. They just have to play better than what they usually are. And, I mean, they're not to oversimplify it, but Philly was the 1 seed and Atlanta was the 5 seed for a reason, right? They should be the better team, and In order to win, then the lower seeded team needs to play, really well. And that's, exactly what you said. That's what they did. Now they've got some stuff they can do and some different things that I think they could do to maybe, like we talked about, how you can free up Trae Young. I think defensively, they haven't done a whole lot of doubling on Embiid. You might want to go to that a little bit more and really try to make him work to either go quick or to beat you as a passer. But yeah, I think we're going to see Philadelphia kind of water found its level here a little bit, and I think they're in much better shape than it looked like they might have been in Game 1.
All right, a lot of people, as always, Keith, Ben Simmons, not very active offensively. They still win the game. He scored 17 in Game 1. They lost. He scored 4 in Game 2. They won. Does it matter if Ben Simmons contributes offensively?
Not if Embiid is playing really well and Harris is doing his thing and then the other guys are making jump shots. Then you don't need Simmons to do a whole heck of a lot. And I think, his focus clearly in Game 2, he was the primary defender, I want to say, for about half the possessions on Trae Young. I know it's right in that range. That's where you're looking at it and saying, hey, is that the trade-off? Can we, if we can get you to be that good against Trae Young, let the other guys handle the offense, because there's nobody else who can handle Trae Young defensively the way Simmons can. Thybulle's close, but it's not the same size combo that Simmons has. So I think what you're kind of looking at there is, all right, if that's what you're going to give us, that's fine as long as the other guys are stepping up. But if the jump shots aren't falling for the other guys, you need Simmons to be a little bit more involved, a little bit more aggressive, especially getting in and around the paint.
Keith Smith, Spotrac.com is where you can find his work. And, of course, the Sixers tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN. They take on the Hawks in game number 3. Now, Shake Milton had the Shake Milton game, it's being referred to here, Keith. Today, Doc Rivers said it. If you're playing well, you're going to continue to get minutes. If you're not, you're going to be sitting next to me. How far can a team go if they're going to play 10, 11 guys? I mean, most teams shorten it up at this time of the year. Can the Sixers continue to play this many guys?
I think to an extent they can, as long as Doc has a good feel and a pretty quick trigger if somebody doesn't have it. Because you're going to get Thybulle, at least in the rest of this series, probably the rest of the playoffs. He's going to play his minutes off the bench because you're going to get his defense no matter what. Then it kind of the rest of the guy, or Dwight Howard, I'm sorry, don't want to forget him. He's going to play, the 10, 15 minutes a night behind Embiid. The rest of the guys, it's really going to be, all right, we're going to run with the hot hand a little bit here, whether that's Korkmaz is really knocking him down from the outside. You can run with him a little longer. If it's Tyrese Maxey is making plays off the dribble, you can run with him. And if it's Shake Milton doing what he can do, you run with him. So you kind of know who your two guys are, and then you're hoping two other guys are going to pop out of the other ones. And if you really need another big, then that's where, Mike Scott gets into the mix potentially from there. So I think you can do it because I think you're going with that. And then I didn't intentionally mean to leave George Hill out, but I think you know what you're going to get from George Hill. So Hill, Thybulle, and Howard, they're the locks. Those 9th, 10th guys, if you go that deep, that's where you play who's going best. And Doc Rivers has a really good sense of, all right, this guy's got it going. I'm going to ride with him.
Yeah, it's funny because after Game 1 and the 5 of the Washington series and Game 1 of this series, people wanted more Maxey. He gave you that little energy, and then for whatever reason, Doc decided to go with Shake Milton in Game 2, and that was the stroke of genius with that. Game 3 tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN. Keith Smith is with me here. All right, quick look at some of the other games tonight. Brooklyn, Milwaukee. All right, Milwaukee had Brooklyn twice in April and beat them. Certainly different. Regular season, I get it. They go to Brooklyn. First game, not so good. Second game, horrendous. Does Milwaukee say, all right, we're back at home, let's figure this out, or are they out of this thing?
Yeah, you're hoping they're going to get that bounce from being back home, and that'll kind of give them what they need to get that energy moving the right way. But they have not looked good. They looked very disjointed, very disconnected on defense, and then offense hasn't looked the same. You've got Giannis settling for jumpers. Chris Middleton has basically gone missing throughout the course of this series. So I think what you're hoping for is, all right, we had a couple days here to regroup. We're back at home, and we'll come out ready to go. This, I would expect to be their best game of the series, potentially. And if it is, they can get themselves right in it. We saw this happen with the Clippers, and they had to do it on the road. So you're hoping that's what it is if you're Milwaukee. But you just keep doing the same things you've been doing, and you're letting Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving walk into jump shots, you're done. This isn't even going to be close to a series, and this thing will be over in 4.
All right, that one's tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Clippers in Utah, 45 from Mitchell in Game 1. No Mike Conley again here in Game 2. The Clippers have been down. Obviously, that went 7 with Dallas. So what Clipper team do we get tonight?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you. I feel like they wait until they're down a couple games, and then it's all right. Let's start playing, and that's not a recipe you want to plan on having available to you as the season goes along. So yeah, I'm nervous about them. I think they've got to get some stuff figured out. Now they can. I think you're going to see Kawhi Leonard get Donovan Mitchell more in this game. I think they have a pretty good sense of, all right, we can blow up some, I like to call it the Jazz's system buckets, where the Jazz run great stuff, but when you know you're going to see it 4 to 7 times in a 2-week period, you can really prep for that. So I think what you're going to see is they're going to do a good job locking in on that stuff, and then it's going to be, all right, now we're going to put Kawhi on Mitchell more, really force Bogdanovich to try to beat us because they don't have Conley, and that, we'll see if they can do that. So I expect a better effort tonight, but the Jazz are tough because they know more than any team that's in the playoffs. They know exactly who they are. Every guy on that roster knows exactly what their job is, and they just kind of do their thing. So I think you're going to see them continue to play well.
Mike Malone took a bold strategy last night, Keith. He said his team quit. Do they respond to that, or do the Suns go to Denver and take control of this? They're already in control, but really take control.
Yeah, I think they'll respond. I think they've got the guys who can do that again. It's tough when the coach challenges your guys like that. That's never a great thing. You don't like hearing, they quit, we weren't tough enough, those kind of things. So that always is, something that the players quite often take to heart and don't like hearing. So I think they'll respond, but that Phoenix team is good. They have what I like to say is good functional depth. They're not going to beat you with 10, 11, 12 guys, but they're 8, 9 guys that they play. They know who they are. They know what their roles are. They know exactly what's expected of them. They're going to go to those guys, and they're playing great. And what Denver has to do is Nikola Jokic has to start really dominating the matchup with DeAndre Ayton to give them any chance, and that's just been too much of a almost a wash so far in these first couple games.
All right, Keith Smith, Spotrac.com. Make sure you check out his work over there. Follow him at Keith Smith NBA. And, of course, he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda Hotline, as tonight we've got Bucks Nets Game 3, 7:30 on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you. I appreciate it.